The conference room was a battlefield, and Elena Harper was losing. Her pen tapped furiously against the legal pad. Each click a silent scream as Sofia Alvarez's voice, calm, measured, infuriatingly perfect, filled the air. By the third sentence of Sofia's closing argument, Elena's blood was boiling, her carefully constructed world of control unraveling like a cheap sweater. It was always like this. Sofia, the golden child of the law department at Carter & Weiss, glided through every case with an ease that made Elena's stomach churn. At 28, Elena had clawed her way up from a small-town scholarship kid to a junior associate at one of New York's top firms, her ambition a blade sharpened by years of proving herself. But Sofia? Sofia was 30, effortlessly brilliant, with a smile that disarmed clients and a mind that dismantled opponents. She joined the firm 2 years ago, and since then Elena had been stuck in her shadow, every late night and extra case overshadowed by Sofia's flawless track record. Today's meeting was no different. The senior partners leaned forward, hanging on Sofia's every word as she presented her strategy for the McAllister-Casey, a high-profile corporate merger that could make or break their quarter. Elena's own proposal, meticulously prepared over sleepless nights, sat ignored on the table, a stack of papers as useless as her pride. She caught Sofia's glance, those warm brown eyes flickering with something unreadable: pity? Smugness? Elena's jaw tightened. She hated that look most of all. "Elena, any thoughts?" Sofia asked, her tone polite but laced with a challenge only Elena could hear. The room turned to her, expectant, and Elena forced a smile, her voice steady despite the storm inside. "I think your approach is optimistic," Elena said, her words sharp enough to cut glass. "But it assumes the opposition won't exploit the regulatory gaps I outlined in my memo. We can't afford to be naive." The room stilled. Sofia's smile didn't falter, but her eyes narrowed slightly, a spark of something dangerous flashing within them. "Naive?" she repeated softly, leaning forward. "I'd call it strategic. We're not here to play defense, Elena. We're here to win." The partners murmured approval, and Elena's chest burned. She wanted to scream, to upend the table, to wipe that perfect composure off Sofia's face. Instead, she nodded, her fingers digging into her palm under the table. She'd spent years building her reputation, and yet Sofia made her feel like an intern again, small, inadequate, invisible. As the meeting adjourned, Elena lingered, pretending to organize her notes while the others filed out. Sofia stayed too, gathering her files with that maddening grace. The room was silent except for the hum of the air conditioning and the distant buzz of Manhattan traffic 30 floors below. Elena's pulse raced, her frustration bubbling over. "You always do this," Elena said, her voice low but sharp, unable to hold it in any longer. "You swoop in, charm everyone, and act like no one else's work matters." Sofia paused, her hand stilling on her briefcase. She turned, her expression unreadable. "Is that what you think? That I'm trying to undermine you?" Elena stood, her chair scraping against the floor. "Don't play innocent, Sofia. You know exactly what you're doing. You've been stealing my spotlight since you got here." Sofia's lips parted, a flicker of hurt crossing her face before it hardened into something fiercer. "Stealing? Elena, I'm just doing my job. Maybe if you spent less time resenting me and more time trusting your own work, you wouldn't feel so threatened." The words hit like a slap. Elena stepped closer, her voice trembling with rage. "Threatened? By you? I've worked twice as hard to get half as far, and you waltz in like you own the place. You don't know what it's like to fight for every inch." Sofia's eyes blazed, her calm facade cracking. "You think I haven't fought? You think I don't know what it's like to be underestimated? You don't know a damn thing about me, Elena." They were inches apart now, the air between them electric, charged with years of unspoken tension. Elena's breath caught, her anger tangled with something else, something she couldn't name, something that made her heart race and her skin burn. Sofia's gaze dropped to Elena's lips for a fraction of a second, and the room seemed to shrink, the world narrowing to the space between them. Then Sofia turned away, breaking the spell. "Maybe you should figure out what you're really angry about," she said quietly, her voice softer but no less cutting. She grabbed her briefcase and walked out, leaving Elena alone with her pounding heart and a truth she wasn't ready to face. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. She paced her tiny Brooklyn apartment, the city's neon glow seeping through her blinds. Sophia's words echoed in her mind, each one a needle pricking at her defenses. She hated Sophia, hated her perfection, her ease, her ability to make Elena feel so small. But beneath the hate was something uglier, something that twisted in her chest like a vine. Admiration, envy, desire. She poured herself a glass of wine, then another, trying to drown the thoughts. But they kept coming, relentless. Sophia's laugh in the break room, the way her hair fell over one shoulder when she leaned over a case file, the quiet strength in her voice when she defended a client. Elena had spent so long fighting to be seen that she hadn't noticed how much she saw Sophia, every detail, every moment, etched into her mind like a guilty secret. The next morning, Elena arrived at the office early, determined to reclaim her edge. The McAllister case was heating up, and she'd been assigned to work alongside Sophia on the final negotiations, a cruel twist of fate. They were stuck together in a small office, poring over contracts, their knees brushing under the table. Every touch was a spark, every glance a challenge. Elena tried to focus, but Sophia's presence was a distraction she couldn't shake. "Pass me the regulatory clause draft," Sophia said, her voice neutral but her eyes searching Elena's face. Elena handed it over, their fingers brushing. The contact sent a jolt through her, and she pulled back too quickly, her cheeks flushing. Sophia noticed. Of course she did. "You okay?" she asked, her tone softer than usual. "Fine," Elena snapped, busying herself with her laptop. But she wasn't fine. She was unraveling, her carefully built walls crumbling under the weight of something she couldn't control. She hated Sophia, so she told herself. But the truth was more dangerous, and it was clawing its way to the surface. By the end of the day, they'd made progress, but the tension between them was unbearable. As they packed up, Sophia lingered, her expression unreadable. "Elena," she started, then hesitated. "I don't want us to be enemies." Elena froze, her heart pounding. "Then stop making me feel like I'm not enough," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Sophia stepped closer, her eyes searching Elena's. "You are enough," she said softly. "You've always been enough." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Elena wanted to argue, to push back, but all she could do was stare into Sophia's eyes, caught in a moment that felt like the edge of a cliff. She didn't know if she wanted to jump or run. The days that followed were a tightrope walk. Elena threw herself into the McAllister case, her focus razor-sharp, but Sophia was a constant presence, her voice, her scent, her quiet confidence filling every corner of the office. Every interaction was a minefield, every shared glance a spark that threatened to ignite something Elena wasn't ready to name. They worked late nights, the office emptying until it was just the two of them, surrounded by stacks of documents and the hum of the city outside. Elena tried to keep her distance, but the small office felt like a pressure cooker, their rivalry simmering beneath the surface. Sophia was relentless, not just in her work but in her attempts to bridge the gap between them. A coffee left on Elena's desk with a post-it note saying, "You've got this." A quiet word of encouragement after a tough meeting. Each gesture chipped away at Elena's defenses, and she hated how much she craved them. One evening, as rain battered the windows, Sophia broke the silence. "Why do you push me away?" she asked, her voice soft but piercing. They were alone, the glow of their laptops casting shadows on the walls. Elena's heart stuttered. "I don't," she lied, her eyes fixed on her screen. But Sophia wasn't letting it go. "You do," she said, leaning forward. "Every time I try to get close, you shut down. What are you so afraid of?" The question hit too close to home. Elena stood, her chair scraping against the floor. "I'm not afraid," she snapped. "I just don't trust you. You're too perfect, Sophia. It's not real." Sophia's laugh was bitter, unexpected. "Perfect? You think I'm perfect?" She stood too, her eyes blazing. "I've spent my whole life proving I belong here. You think it's easy being the only Latina in a room full of suits who assume I'm the assistant? I work twice as hard to be seen as half as good, Elena. Don't talk to me about perfect." Elena froze, shame washing over her. She'd been so consumed by her own struggles that she hadn't considered Sophia's. The realization hit her like a wave, but it was drowned out by the anger still burning in her chest. "Then why do you act like you've got it all figured out?" she shot back. You make it look so easy and it kills me. Sophia stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Because if I don't, they'll eat me alive. And I thought you, of all people, would understand that. The air between them crackled, their faces inches apart. Elena's breath hitched, her anger tangling with a pull she couldn't ignore. Sophia's eyes were locked on hers, fierce and unguarded, and for a moment Elena forgot how to breathe. She wanted to scream, to push Sophia away, to pull her closer. Instead, she turned and fled, grabbing her coat and rushing into the rain-soaked streets. The city was a blur of lights and noise, but Elena's mind was louder. She walked aimlessly, the rain soaking through her blazer, her thoughts a tangle of guilt and longing. She'd spent so long hating Sophia, but now she saw it for what it was. A shield. A way to protect herself from the truth that Sophia wasn't just her rival, but the one person who saw her, really saw her, and it terrified her. When she finally returned to her apartment, drenched and shivering, her phone buzzed with a text from Sophia. I'm sorry if I pushed too far. Can we talk? Elena stared at the message, her thumb hovering over the reply button. She wanted to ignore it, to bury her feelings and move on. But something in Sophia's words, the vulnerability, the honesty, made her pause. She typed a single word. Tomorrow. The next day, Elena arrived at the office with a knot in her stomach. Sophia was already there, her expression guarded but soft. They worked in silence, the tension between them palpable but different now, less hostile and more expectant. As the day wore on, Elena caught herself stealing glances at Sophia, the curve of her jaw, the way her fingers moved over the keyboard, the quiet strength in her posture. Each glance was a confession, a step closer to a truth she couldn't outrun. That evening, as they finalized the McAllister proposal, Sophia spoke up. I meant what I said yesterday, she said, her voice steady but laced with emotion. You're enough, Elena. You don't have to prove anything to me. Elena's throat tightened. She wanted to argue, to push back, but the sincerity in Sophia's eyes stopped her. I don't know how to do this, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know how to. Not hate you. Sophia's smile was small, bittersweet. Maybe stop trying to hate me, she said. Maybe just let yourself feel something else. The words hung between them, heavy with possibility. Elena's heart pounded, her mind screaming to run, but her body stayed rooted to the spot. Sophia reached out, her hand brushing Elena's, and the touch was a spark that set everything ablaze. Before Elena could think, before she could stop herself, she leaned forward, her lips crashing into Sophia's. The kiss was fire and fury. Years of rage and longing poured into a single moment. Sophia froze for a heartbeat, then kissed her back, her hands cupping Elena's face, pulling her closer. The world fell away, the office, the case, the rain outside, until it was just them, tangled in a truth neither could deny. When they finally pulled apart, breathless and trembling, Elena's eyes were wide with panic and wonder. What did we just do? She whispered. Sophia's smile was soft, her thumb brushing Elena's cheek. Something real, she said. Something honest. The kiss changed everything. Elena woke the next morning with the taste of Sophia still on her lips, her heart a battlefield of fear and exhilaration. She stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, searching for the woman who'd built her life on control and ambition, but all she saw was someone unraveling, someone who'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross. At the office, she avoided Sophia's gaze, her stomach twisting every time their eyes met. The McAllister case was nearing its deadline, and the pressure was relentless, but it was nothing compared to the chaos inside her. Sophia, for her part, was professional, her voice steady as they reviewed contracts, but there was a new softness in her glances, a quiet invitation that made Elena's pulse race. They didn't talk about the kiss. Not that day nor the next. But it lingered between them, an unspoken truth that colored every word, every touch. Elena threw herself into work, hoping to drown it out, but the more she tried to focus, the more Sophia's presence consumed her. A brush of fingers as they passed a file. A shared laugh over a client's ridiculous demand. Each moment was a thread, weaving them closer, and Elena was terrified of how much she wanted it. One evening, as they worked late again, Sophia broke the silence. We can't keep pretending it didn't happen, she said, her voice low, her eyes searching Elena's. You know that, right? Elena's heart pounded. She wanted to deny it, to rebuild the walls she'd spent years constructing, but the truth was too heavy to ignore. I don't know what it means, she admitted, her voice shaking. I'm not like you. Sophia's brow furrowed. Like me? Elena, I'm not asking you to be anything you're not. I feel something when I'm with you. Don't you? The question was a knife cutting through Elena's defenses. She wanted to lie, to say she felt nothing, but the memory of the kiss burned too brightly. I don't know what I feel, she said finally. I just know it scares the hell out of me. Sophia's smile was gentle, but there was pain in her eyes. It scares me too, she said. But I'd rather be scared than pretend I don't want this. The words hung in the air, raw and unguarded. Elena's chest ached, torn between running and staying. She'd spent her life fighting to be seen, to be enough, but with Sophia, she felt exposed in a way she'd never known. It was terrifying and exhilarating. Over the next few days, they fell into a fragile rhythm. They didn't kiss again, but the tension between them was a living thing, pulsing with every shared glance, every quiet moment. Elena caught herself watching Sophia more openly now. The way her eyes lit up when she solved a problem, the way her laugh filled the room. It was like seeing her for the first time, and it made Elena question everything she thought she knew about herself. The McAllister case reached its climax, a high-stakes negotiation with the opposing firm. Elena and Sophia were a team now. Their rivalry transformed into a partnership that was as seamless as it was electric. They anticipated each other's moves, their arguments sharp and synchronized, and when they secured a favorable deal, the partners showered them with praise. For the first time, Elena didn't feel overshadowed by Sophia, she felt like her equal. After the meeting, as the office celebrated with champagne, Sophia pulled Elena aside. We make a good team, she said, her voice warm with pride. Elena's heart skipped. Yeah, she said, a small smile breaking through. We do. That night they ended up at a quiet bar in the village, the city's pulse thrumming around them. Over glasses of wine they talked not about work but about their lives. Sophia spoke of growing up in a tight-knit Puerto Rican family in the Bronx, the pressure to succeed, the quiet moments of doubt. Elena shared her own story, her small-town roots, the scholarship that changed her life, the fear of never being enough. For the first time they weren't rivals or colleagues. They were just Elena and Sophia, two women finding each other in the chaos of their worlds. As they walked through the city afterward, the air cool and crisp, Sophia reached for Elena's hand. The touch was tentative, but Elena didn't pull away. Their fingers laced together, and for a moment, the world felt right, simple, honest, real. But the moment didn't last. The next day, a rumor spread through the office. Someone had seen them at the bar, their hands entwined. By lunchtime, the whispers were everywhere, sharp and judgmental. Elena's stomach dropped as she overheard two associates in the break room. Elena and Sophia? No way. She's too uptight for that. The words stung, but worse was the look on Sophia's face when Elena caught her eye across the office, guarded, uncertain, as if she was waiting for Elena to pull away. And Elena wanted to. The scrutiny, the judgment, it was everything she'd spent her life avoiding. She'd fought too hard to be taken seriously, to be seen as more than a small-town girl with big dreams. Could she risk it all for this? That evening, alone in her apartment, Elena stared at her phone, Sophia's last text glowing on the screen. Are you okay? Talk to me. Her thumb hovered over the reply button, but she couldn't find the words. She was drowning in fear and shame, in the weight of a truth she wasn't ready to face. The office became a minefield. Every glance, every whisper felt like a judgment, and Elena's carefully built world was cracking under the pressure. She avoided Sophia, keeping their interaction strictly professional, but the distance only made her heart ache more. Sophia, for her part, didn't push, but her eyes held a quiet hurt that Elena couldn't ignore. The McAllister case was done, but a new high-profile clienta tech startup facing a regulatory battle kept them tethered together. They worked side by side, their chemistry undeniable even as Elena tried to bury it. She told herself it was for the best, that she couldn't afford to be distracted, that her career came first. But every time Sophia's hand brushed hers, every time their eyes met, the lie felt thinner. One evening, as they stayed late to prepare for a deposition, Sophia broke the silence. You're shutting me out, she said, her voice soft but firm. I get that you're scared, Elena, but you can't keep running from this. Elena's chest tightened. I'm not running, she said, but the words felt hollow. I can't do this. Not here. Not now. Sophia's eyes searched hers, steady and unflinching. Why not? Because of what people might say. Or because you're afraid of what it means about you? The question hit like a punch. Elena stood, her hands trembling. You don't get it, Sophia. I've spent my whole life proving I belong here. I can't let this ruin everything. Sophia's face fell, but her voice stayed steady. This? You mean us? Elena, I'm not asking you to throw away your career. I'm asking you to be honest with yourself. With me. Elena wanted to scream, to cry, to pull Sophia close and never let go. Instead, she grabbed her coat and left, the weight of her fear heavier than ever. She walked the city streets, her mind a storm of doubt and longing. She'd always prided herself on her strength, her ambition, but this was something she didn't know how to fight. The next day, the office buzzed with a new rumor. The firm was considering promotions, and Elena and Sophia were both in the running. The news should have thrilled Elena, but instead it felt like a trap. A promotion meant security, validation, everything she'd worked for. But it also meant more scrutiny, more pressure to be perfect. Could she be herself, her true self, and still have it all? That evening, Sophia found her in the file room, surrounded by boxes of old case files. We need to talk, Sophia said, her voice gentle but unyielding. Elena's heart raced. There's nothing to talk about, she said, but her voice cracked. Sophia stepped closer, her eyes fierce with emotion. There's everything to talk about. I'm not going to let you push me away because you're scared. I see you, Elena. I see how hard you fight, how much you care. And I see the way you look at me when you think I'm not watching. Elena's breath caught, her defenses crumbling. I don't know how to do this, she whispered. I don't know how to be this. Sophia's hand found hers, warm and steady. You don't have to know, she said. You just have to try. The words broke something in Elena. She pulled Sophia close, their lips meeting in a kiss that was softer this time, but no less desperate. It was a surrender, a confession, a promise. When they pulled apart, Elena's eyes were wet with tears, but for the first time she didn't feel weak. I'm scared, she admitted, her voice barely audible. Sophia's smile was soft, her thumb brushing away a tear. Me too, she said. But we'll figure it out. Together. Over the next few weeks, they navigated their new reality with cautious hope. They kept their relationship quiet, not out of shame but to protect what was still fragile. They stole moments, a touch in the elevator, a shared smile across the conference room, but the secrecy weighed on Elena. She wanted to be brave, to be open, but the fear of judgment lingered. The promotion decision loomed, and the office became a pressure cooker. Elena and Sophia were pitted against each other, their work scrutinized, their every move watched. Elena felt the old rivalry flare, but it was different now, less about hate and more about proving herself, not just to the firm but to Sophia, to herself. One night, as they worked late, Elena found a note tucked into her briefcase. You're enough. Always. It was Sophia's handwriting, and it brought tears to Elena's eyes. She realized then that Sophia wasn't her rival, she was her strength, her mirror, her home. The promotion announcement came on a crisp autumn morning, the office buzzing with anticipation. Elena sat at her desk, her heart pounding as the senior partners called a meeting. Sophia sat across the room, her expression calm but her eyes locked on Elena's, a silent promise passing between them. When the partners announced Sophia's name, Elena's stomach dropped, not out of jealousy, but out of fear. Would this change things? Would Sophia's rise pull them apart? But then the partners called Elena's name too, a dual promotion, a rare acknowledgement of their shared brilliance. The room erupted in applause, but all Elena could see was Sophia's smile, wide and proud. After the meeting, they found a quiet corner of the office. We did it, Sophia said, her voice thick with emotion. Together. Elena nodded, her throat tight. Together, she echoed, and for the first time she believed it. But the victory was bittersweet. The rumors about their relationship hadn't stopped, and now with their promotions the scrutiny intensified. Elena felt the weight of every stare, every whisper, and it brought her fears roaring back. She'd fought so hard to be seen as more than her small-town roots, more than her insecurities. Could she be open about who she was, who she loved, and still keep what she'd built? That evening, Sophia invited Elena to her apartment in the East Village, a cozy space filled with books and soft lighting. Over dinner, they talked about the future, not just their careers but them. "I want to be with you," Sophia said, her voice steady. "Not in secret. Not hiding. I want us to be real." Elena's heart ached. She wanted it too, more than anything, but the fear was still there, a shadow she couldn't shake. "What if it costs us everything?" she asked. "The firm, our careers, the respect we've earned?" Sophia took her hand, her grip firm. "Then we'll fight for it. We've faced worse, haven't we? We've faced each other." Elena laughed, the sound breaking through her fear. Sophia was right, they'd survived their own battles, their own doubts. Maybe they could survive this too. The next day, Elena made a decision. She walked into the senior partner's office and told them the truth, not the whole story, but enough. She was with Sophia and she wouldn't hide it. To her surprise, the partners were supportive, their focus on her work rather than her personal life. It wasn't perfect and there were still whispers, but it was a start. Over the next few months, Elena and Sophia built a life together, one step at a time. They faced challenges, judgment from colleagues, doubts from within, but they faced them together. Their love a quiet strength that grew with every shared moment. Elena learned to let go of her need for control, to embrace the messiness of being human, of being in love. One evening, as they stood on a rooftop overlooking the city, Sophia pulled Elena close. "I used to think you hated me," she said, her voice soft with wonder. "But now I know you were just fighting to be seen." Elena smiled, her heart full. "I was," she said. "And you saw me." They kissed under the stars, the city sprawling beneath them, a testament to their journey from rage to love, from fear to courage. They weren't perfect and their story wasn't over, but it was theirs, and that was enough. Their love wasn't just a rebellion against the world that tried to define them. It was a promise to keep fighting, to keep loving, to keep being true. And as Elena held Sophia's hand, she knew that no matter what came next, they'd face it together. Their hearts intertwined, their futures unwritten but bright. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.